Hey, it's Dave here. Welcome to my channel, My Yard Sale. Hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about fiber and my particular diet. First off, I want to say I'm not a health professional. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not even really smart when it comes to health. I've made a lot of bad decisions and now I'm trying to have to figure out what the situation is and how to resolve it. So, probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I realized that my blood sugar was an issue. I guess it should have been a pretty good indicator, the amount of Pop Tarts and Lucky Charms I was eating. That could have been a clear indicator of bad news coming. So I finally got to a point where I had to kind of figure out what was wrong with me. At that point, I was just eating whatever I ate, and I didn't know what was wrong or what the problem was. And then the more I realized that I was having a pretty serious situation and issue, I looked into it and I found this whole thing about diabetes and prediabetes. I put the pieces together and realized over the last 20 years I probably have been edging myself closer and closer and closer to the edge of the cliff of falling into diabetes and prediabetes. Anyways, as soon as I realized through my homework and my just the information gathering that I did with YouTube and calling friends of mine that are in the medical profession, I realized that I probably was diabetic. And I unfortunately did not have the ability to get an A1C test, so I wasn't sure. But all of the signals were there, all the indicators were there. So I knew that I had to do something and change something to try to get my health back on track. I was pretty excited about carnivore and a little bit ketovore, but mostly carnivore because I can eat meat. I could eat steak, I can eat ground beef all day long, every day, every week, every month, every day of the year. I can eat that. What I didn't know is how my body or our bodies resolve proteins in our system and how it can cause some of the same issues that eating Pop Tarts cause. Because Pop Tarts, Lucky Charms, flood your body with sugar and glucose. When you eat a ton of beef, it also floods your body with protein, which can be converted to glucose by your body. And it can also give you metabolic issues. And I was having that problem. So the more that I've looked into all of this and how it works and how things work, the more I realized with my diet, I was eating meat, let's say 90% meat, 10% or less of vegetables, and probably 2% fat, because I buy the higher fat ground beef. So I'm getting a good amount of fat. But what I did notice is I did the one meal a day. I was doing intermittent fasting. I was doing all this fasting, just healthful things that I felt like should continue to benefit me. But I was eating all that meat and I was having some of the same effects in my body that I was having when I would eat a Pop Tart. Like my body felt like it was being flooded by sugar. My skin almost immediately flared up. The inflammations almost immediately flared up. And there's a whole list of inflammations that I've dealt with and continue to deal with if I'm not careful of what I eat. Anyways, so over the last probably year and a half, I have been not 100% carnivore, but primarily carnivore. I eat a lot of meat. Like I said, I eat 5 pounds of meat, 2 pounds of vegetables, and that's about the ratio of what I eat. And now what I'm finding, 2 years later, I'm finding that when I eat meat, it doesn't cause me inflammation like it would if I was eating sugar or garbage, but it does cause me inflammation issue. So what I've kind of figured out that I think I might be right, or I don't know if I'm right or not, but I hope I'm right. I think I have to add more fiber to my diet. So I'll be making my meals with 5 pounds of ground beef, 2 pounds of vegetables, and then 2 more pounds of fiber, probably beans, or just more fiber focused items to my diet. Beans or cabbage or some other kind of vegetable. Maybe broccoli, I don't know. I mean, I gotta be honest, I was pretty excited to not eat any vegetables. I cannot eat salads. I don't have to eat the noodles. I don't have to eat the rice, but I can also skip the um, the vegetables if I could. But I guess the way that it works is when you eat enough fiber, it slows down the absorption of the glucose in your system. And that glucose is not just sugar, it's also protein that's converted to sugar. So I'm hoping that adding all this fiber to my diet will slow down my glucose intake or stop the inflammation, the spiking of the sugar in my system. I hope that this helps. And of course, I'll add it back onto this channel later. So if I get the perfect mix with all the perfect flavors and the perfect taste, that I can eat 3 meals a day, every day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year, I'll post it here. And hopefully I'll be able to help a whole bunch of people correct their diets, correct their metabolic issues, and actually enjoy what they're eating. So if this has been interesting, or this conversation about adding fiber to your diet, which, like I said, again, I'm not excited about adding fiber in my diet, but I'm feeling like if it'll help slow down the inflammation and the glucose intake into my system, it'll be very helpful. On another subject that I want to talk about, so I am definitely becoming more insulin sensitive again. I've got hair growing back on top of my head, which is kind of exciting. Hopefully soon it'll be warm enough where I live to not be wearing a winter hat inside my house. But so I'm getting like, I clearly was not bald, but I was definitely having hair follicle issues where the hair on top of my head was definitely thinning out and graying completely. The hair on my mustache area was thinning out. The hair on my chin was kind of thinning out, which in all honesty, that wasn't so horrible because it just meant that I didn't have to shave as much. But now it feels like I've turned some kind of circle where like all of the hair follicles on my body that maybe were dead before are regrowing and regenerating. So now I've got all this, I'm not going to say painful, but uncomfortable hair follicles that it's pretty weird actually. Like the hair on my face, the hair on my chin and my cheeks, it almost feels like I can feel the hair growing through the skin and out my skin. My head, like I'm gonna be happy to not wear a hat anymore because it feels like it just makes my head itch. So anyways, that's my story for today. If this is interesting at all or helpful at all, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow my channel. And I will be adding more updates as to what my fiber situation is, what I've decided to add to my diet as the main fiber, or a fiber that I can eat regularly 7 days a week, again 30 days a month. Every day I want to get a meal that I can make in bulk. I can eat it every day, all the time. I don't hate it. I love it. I really like it. And I can afford it. I unfortunately can't afford to eat steaks every day of the week. Hopefully someday I will be able to, but I can't afford to do that. So I'm working with ground beef, and once I add, like I said, more fiber into my ground beef mix, I'm hoping that it'll slow down the absorption of the glucose, and it'll stop converting proteins directly to glucose so quickly, spiking my insulin levels and blood sugars. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is interesting. Do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I'll be adding more content in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll get away from just adding health related stuff, and I can add more lifestyle stuff. But if this health content is interesting to you, do me a favor, like I said, subscribe. So have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.